everybody, this is kind of like a little introduction before the video starts. This is future Amy editing. 90% of this footage was created at the beginning of April. What you need to know and why you're seeing me right now is first an apology. Took me so long to get this out and all the other videos out subsequently because of how long it took me to do this. It's going to be a two-parter because it's so long, and if you hang around, there's a big surprise at the end. So two parts. The first part will be how I created all of the pieces for the sculpture, and the second part will be how I assembled it and what happens at the store, because yes, this is a creation that goes to the store I sell my stuff out of. Hi everybody. This channel is for creating. It's food and crafts. I do both, and this is a craft video. It's taken me a little bit longer to get this video out to you because I have spent the last 2 weeks, Draco's playing. I've spent the last 2 weeks making flowers. All I've been doing for 2 weeks is watching TV and making lots and lots of flowers. I have made 4 flower baskets and 5 flower pots, and they are going over to TL6 The Gallery in New Bedford to be sold in their flower exhibit starting April 14th. Adric was also kind enough during this time to give me his head cold, and so I'm very sniffly at the moment. Alright, well, I've been rambling long enough. Let me show you how I made my flower basket, so let's do it. This is kind of a roundup of the materials we need. Wax paper, very important. We're going to end up using this a lot, especially when we're rolling. We've got an entire box of fun little cutters that we will be using as we make our varieties of flowers and leaves. Circle cutters like these have been my best friends since high school. Be able to make a variety of different flowers and things using those. Oh, real quick. The box that these are in were made by my godmother. My godmother, who got me started in all of this. Isn't that a pretty little box? She also used polymer clay to make all that. Other things that we're gonna need, other tools we're gonna need, we're gonna have a variety of different clay rollers, wires, pliers, different tools for molding our clay, making different shapes. Sheet metal cutter is also a really nice thing to have. It's got a nice blade. And one of the best things about these kinds of cutters is the fact that you can bend them. What is this big yellow box over here? So the pasta maker I use for a variety of reasons. Conditioning the clay to begin with. Also making sure that every single piece I have, especially when I get into other types of clay work, are all uniform. This is wonderful for the roses, the flowers, because it just speeds up everything real fast. When it comes to polymer clays, I don't have a favorite. I usually get what's available. These right here are Sculpty 3, and this is Fimo. Both of these are perfectly fine brands. Use what makes you happy. Other thing we may use for this project is I've got this silver bronze luster dust, which could add nice little shimmer. Other things also, if you want to add glitter, we've got, you know, diamond dust, things like that. This little blue one. And you could add, you know, just a little bit of sparkle here and there, just for fun if you want. Now I'm going to show you how I do the wires. This is a leaf wire, and I use this as kind of the basic wire for any extra foliage I will do, and it is the base for the lily wire, and it's just open at the top to make the stamen and antlers of the lily. To make these, I'm going to use 24 gauge wire for the outside because it's more bendy and flexible, and for the inside I'm going to use 22 gauge wire because that's what I have on hand, but 20 works as well. And it's the higher the number, the thinner the wire. Now I just do a lot of wrapping. Now that I have all the filament wires done,
and our lily wires are ready to go, I'll show you how I make the antlers for the filament on the stamens. So to make the antlers, I made a little worm of green and yellow clay, which I'm going to cut into 5 even pieces, well, as even as I can get them, and then it's just a matter of gently putting them on. If you put them on too much, the wire goes right through them and you gotta start again. Okay, almost done with this one. One more little piece. And ta-da! All done. Now I'm ready to move on to my next wires.
I'm going to show you how to make these, and with all of our flowers we start with the hardware. So first thing we need is to take an 18 gauge wire. I've already prepped this one, and just put a little hook on the top like that. While we are creating the next part, that's going to keep us from losing pieces. Now we're gonna make a whole bunch of these. I've already got some prepped, but I have a whole bunch more to make because each one of these has about 40 or so flowers on them. Each one of these little peg things will hold 2 flowers. So we need a minimum of 20. All right, so that's what we're gonna make. What I've been doing is I've been flipping it over so my little hook is on the bottom. I make a cross, and using my thumb I hold it down and wrap it as tightly as possible, and then I come in with my pliers and do 2 or 3 little nips just to make sure that it's in nice and tight around that 18 gauge, and then we're just gonna slip it down. I'm gonna grab my wire cutters, and I'm gonna grab my wire cutters, and I'm just gonna try to make it even on both sides. Oop, there it goes. So I'm gonna let that hang around on the bottom there, and I'm gonna repeat that 4 more times, so there's 5 of them on there, and then I'm gonna drop them into our basket so I have a kind of a count of what we've done so far. So there we are. I have made 5, and I'm just gonna put them into our little basket here. And this makes it 120 flowers worth. So I should be able to do 3 more of these. For our next chunk of hardware, we've got to prep our wires for our roses. This is what they look like, so I'm going to show you real quick how to do it. And this is just a stiffer wire, like 22 to 18 gauge with 24 gauge wrapped around it. I'm going to take a piece of 18 gauge wire and just going to cut it. We want it a little bit longer than we actually need it. I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, and I'm just gonna make a little hook. We gotta have something for the clay to grab onto. So a little hook like that. Then we're gonna take our 24 gauge wire. Now this will give our floral tape something to hang on to. And there we go. So there we have it. So now we have enough of these to do 7 or 8 more. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I make my bugs. First I'm going to make a spider. I start by rolling 2 small balls, one slightly bigger than the other, and I will attach these 2 together to make the body. Isn't that cute? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now we're going to put his eyes on, and we do this by using a needle tool and pushing them into his head, and the needle tool dual purpose. Now we have a hole for the pupils. Cutting some legs. Ooh,
Woo! Now we got legs. Ta-da! Now it's time to make a ladybug. We start this by rolling out some red clay, which has got a little bit of sparkle in it. Added some glitter. Run it through our pasta maker. And we're going to use this for the outside of our ladybug. We're going to cut it a circle, and we're going to slice that circle down the center, and then we're going to lay it on our bug, which is just kind of like a little button of clay. Now we're going to add 7 dots because this is a 7-dot ladybug. And then we're going to add some black for the front of his face, and then we're going to add some white for his eyes, just like we did on the spider, with a needle tool piercing to make a hole for the pupils. Put in his little pupils. And I think we got a little cute ladybug there. Okay, right now we're doing some detail work on our ladybugs and our spiders. We are starting our first round of glazing, which can take up to 24 hours to cure. There you go. Okay, so right there we have an adorable little, oh, go away, ladybug. Little eyes. Hello. With our ladybug, I'm going to show you how to add some glitter. Not this one. This one's staying just like this. So I've got this little guy here who's got some big black fat spots on him. I got this cool, good chunky glitter. Look at that. And we're going to add, for a fun effect, one of these onto each. To start this, we're going to glaze our little buddy here. So now I'm going to take one of these little pieces of glitter and I'm just going to place it on each of the dots. So as you can see, each one of those has a little sparkle on it. I'm going to let this dry for a half hour and then we'll put our next coat on. And I'm going to do that to all our bugs, all our ladybugs. Little spider. Hello, little spider. The little spider's going to get his first coat of glaze. Okay. There we go. Nice shine to him now. And again, it's got to dry for about a half an hour. So I'm going to do that to all our bugs and make them all fun and sparkly and shiny. And then we will glaze them again in a half hour. So it's time. We're going to add another layer of glaze. Oh, okay, so there he is with a second coat. I'm going to do a second coat on our little spider here. Oh, there we go. So there he is. He's got his second layer of glaze on him, and we're just going to let them dry. We'll see how they look when they're done. I've got this fun petal cutter, and I'm going to use this to cut, and I need 5 for each. So now we've got 5 petals. So we're going to take one of our stems. Okay, so we're going to kind of bend the bottom, and then we're just going to wrap that right below where all of our wires meet. We're going to repeat this with all of our petals. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be baked upside down. All right, so there it is, and I'm going to bake it upside down. Well, I'm going to push the wires out of the way as best I can, but it's pretty much going to be baked upside down like that to hold its shape, and that's how it's going to sit on the pan in the oven. Now we are working on the small flowers for this. I've got this piece here rolled out that's a mixture of other colors I have here. We're gonna do a pattern of different kinds of purples and pinks and blues that go together. So how I do this is I cut out a whole bunch of these little flowers, and sometimes they get stuck in the cutters. Cut out a bunch of these little flowers, just like that. Well, once I get them cut out, boom. All right. If I haven't already stuck a hole through them, I take my needle point here,
There we go. And stick it right through the center of the flower. Make sure I don't puncture my hand by accident in the process. Kind of mold it around. See? And there's my bead. And these will get baked off. So we put a hook in our 18 gauge wire, and then we made all of these. So these little doohickeys we're going to use now. And what we're gonna do is okay, I'm going to hook that through there, hold it in place. Then we're gonna grab our pliers and we're just gonna pinch it tight, closed, and fold it up like fold it up, and then take a tiny piece of your green and put it around there. And this is just to get it to stop moving. And we just kind of squish it in place. So now we've got it like this. Now, so this flower will be our purple flower, because that was the bag I grabbed. And we're just gonna put it on. Gonna wrap around. Now, I, at the moment, of course, because we're working, can't find my small pliers. They have vanished because they were right here and now they're gone. So I'm gonna use my fingers. So now I'm gonna just clip this little extra piece of wire away, and then I'm gonna snap it into place. Okay, so now we're just gonna continue to add our flowers. There it is, our top 2 flowers. Now we grab a next one. Slide your piece of wire up to the top, fasten it in place using another piece of green clay. If you use too little, you get a mess like this where they feel and look like they're going to fall off. Now this is one of the first ones I made. I actually made this one in 2019. This one, right before I graduated college, was when this one was made. Now, this here is an example of what happens if you use too much green clay. It starts to look sloppy and kind of seeps out the top, which is not very pretty. What we're trying to accomplish, there's green on the top, but it's not overwhelming our flowers. They're not getting, you're not seeing more green than you are the flowers themselves, and that's what we're going for. So I'm gonna finish making this one and then show you how it looks when I'm done. So our petal here, I'm gonna squish that. Our stainless steel wires that we made earlier, and just wrap to make a little bud and make it a little smaller at the top so we really can't see that wire. So there it is, the top. And now we're going to pick up our other petals and wrap them similar like we did when I did the paper roses. I'll link that video up in the corner here if you want to look at that. Okay, so flatten and just wrap it on one side so it's sticking up. Pick up another one, flatten it again. Now I'm going to hook it like we did the first one. Oh, a little bit further over. There we go. And now we're going to take the first one and we're just going to hook it in place. See, and now we have our first little petal there. Now we're going to repeat this process. This is if we're making a small rose. We're only going to add about 10 petals total to it. So we're just going to continue to do it until it looks like this. And that is a small rose completed. Now you can continue layering your petals until you have something as big as this. And that's a big rose. This has about 4 different layers of sizes on it. These small ones here are going to be for our flower baskets. The big ones we're going to do something else with. So now I'm going to show you how to make the greens. And we have different styles that will ultimately produce. We're going to make a bunch of these leaves. I have caught Adrix cold. We're going to make all different styles of leaves. I want to make a few of these big feather pieces. Generally speaking, you're not going to see any leaves like this in a basket, but it just adds a lot of color right smack in the middle. So we're going to make one more of these for our 4th basket, and we're going to detail them, bake them, and then turn them into, I guess the best way is kind of like a little charm. Okay, but for now, it's time to cut a bunch of green stuff out. So I made some lovely colorful leaves, and oh, there we go. And now we'll move on to how to detail them. So now we're going to add details to our leaves, and we're going to mark them with marks similar to the veins that you would see on leaves, and just give them a little shape and curl them up a little bit if you want to give them a little bit more character. And then so all need to be as charms is we're going to make a hole right through there. Ooh, come on, gently. All right, so there it is. Isn't that pretty? There you go. There's our pattern on that lovely little leaf. There you go. And there's our third kind of leaf. So I'm just going to mark up all these and then we'll bake them.
Thank you for watching. Hey, want to subscribe? You can click on the purple Christmas tree. Not sure you want to subscribe yet? You want to see more content first? You can click on this video over here. Until next time, take care and be safe.